Skytron energy monitoring of PV power plants works as follows. At the power plant location, values such as radiation, temperature and string current are measured. These are then, along with inverter and energy meter data, recorded by data loggers. Via an internet connection, these values are transferred to a central database. Here, the raw data is processed, evaluated, reviewed and accumulated. If it deviates from the set values or target specifications, alarms and message alerts are generated for you, the user. Now you can access 3 applications on this data cloud: our iPhone app, our PVGuard web portal and PVGuard. PVGuard is the supervision platform developed by Skytron Energy, which you can use to visualize and analyze all PV plant monitoring data. The graphical user interface of the PVGuard supervision platform provides operators with detailed, targeted monitoring via comparative views, charts and tables. When you start the software, you will see in the top left corner all the PV power plants in your account. With just one login, you have access to your whole portfolio. Here there are different standardized views available: the world map and a comparison of all your plants. There is a detailed view of each plant and its components, such as blocks, inverters, plant control, combiner boxes, sensors, and a plant map. These standardized views help the control room to assess data quickly and always in the same way, so irregularities can be located quickly. The software also offers a range of other features. It allows constant access to all historical data. All elements are interactive. From here, you have immediate access to charts and tables. In the bottom list, you will find the measurement and analysis values of your plant. They allow for the comparison of data with a right-click or drag-and-drop action. If the plants are located in different time zones, then the curve presentation can be adjusted accordingly. Of course, you can also save the diagrams as individual files. In addition, the PVGuard includes an advanced alarm management system. And last but not least, it is currently available in 8 languages, for example Russian, and you can switch between these languages live. Let's begin with a quick plant overview. If you click on the left corner of the world map, you see every plant on your account. You can move around and zoom in and out of the map as necessary. It is loaded live. If you move the mouse over a triangle, 3 key values appear. In this example, the plant is operating at 3,200 kilowatts with a peak generator capacity of 5,430 kilowatts. It has already fed 9,254 kilowatt hours into the grid today. At the same time, you can see that there are no alarm messages for this plant because the triangle is green. Alarm status is indicated by yellow or red. You open and view alarms by clicking on the panel seen here. The All Plants viewing mode gives a standardized summary of important real-time data from all your power plants, always in the same way for a quick overview and comparison. This plant, for example, currently has a performance ratio of 88%. This is the ratio between radiation yield and energy yield. The plant is producing at a rate of 4,815 kilowatts with an installed peak power of 5,200 kilowatts, which means that it is generating 95% of its potential output. The previous day's energy yield was over 16,000 kilowatt-hours, while the current day stands at almost 8,000 kilowatt-hours. The sun is shining. You now have almost 1,000 watts per square meter and power of 0.92 kilowatts per kilowatt peak. So, you have produced 1.54 kilowatt-hours per kilowatt peak today. On the right side, you see an overview of yield and performance data. The blue curve represents the accumulated day's energy yield, while the red curve shows the current power level. Using these views, you can now get detailed access to each individual plant, like the solar park you see here. The presentation view gives a rough summary of plant measurement values. Here you see current power, current radiation levels at the current time, as well as the energy yield for today and yields since the plant went online. You can also view ambient temperature, module temperature, avoided CO2 emissions, and here below, the current power energy yield chart. The blocks view gives you an initial view of the components in your plant. Using a plant overview with the same display as the comparative view of all plants, you can now see a summary of multiple inverters. In this example, two central inverters are combined in a block with 1.2 megawatts. You can see the nominal power stands at 1,260 kilowatts, but the installed power is at 1,350 kilowatt peak. This is also made clear by the markers shown here. The black marker in front shows the nominal power, the grey one behind the installed DC power. The green bar represents current output. All elements of each view are interactive. That means that with one click, you can open a chart showing the values of the relevant parameters. Skytron Energy's monitoring system supports virtually all inverters on today's market. With this screen, you can monitor the status of all inverters by means of a plant overview. You can see here the plant is running very well. All inverters have a current performance ratio of over 90%. When you move the mouse over the current status, a display pops up. All inverters are online and green. They are functioning correctly. There are no alarms at the moment. This inverter is operating at a rate of 349 kilowatts and has fed 714 kilowatt-hours into the grid today. If you, as the operator, wish to know how the plant is functioning, you can follow this column showing energy yield, and you can see, for example, that inverter 2.2 is producing more than the others. That is due in this case to a higher installed generator capacity. These diagrams show the performance of all inverters over the course of the day in addition to energy yield. Output levels are steady. There were no power failures on the day shown. At the bottom of this screen, you see the radiation sensors and corresponding temperatures. The green curve shows ambient temperature, the blue curve module temperature. This is good to see. Module temperature increased at the same time as radiation levels. Sky Control takes over the control of your plant. It ensures grid stability and documents the plant's active power, power factor, and reactive power. In this example, you see a day on which Grid Security Management has imposed an active power curbing. Plant output is limited to 30%. You can also see that on this meter, with nominal power of 5 megawatts, the plant is currently only allowed to produce 1.5 megawatts, a level it has also reached. In the diagram below, you can see the day's data, referenced here against historical values. The blue line shows that shortly after 8 a.m. and at 10:30, output was curbed, but Between 4 and 6 p.m., it was allowed once more to fully generate power. The red line represents active power and the yellow line plant radiation power. This chart shows that there have been losses over the course of the day. The red line does not correspond to the yellow one. This raises the question, how much was lost? That is shown in this bar chart. The blue bar shows actual yield. Green is estimated yield, and the red bar represents the yield loss. On the 25th of June 2012, there was a loss of 5,778 kilowatt-hours. These combiner boxes are Skytron array guards, which you can monitor here. The blue bar shows the average current for every combiner box. In this case, 6.35 amps. The black markers highlight the lowest and highest string current levels. The lightning symbol shows the status of the overvoltage protection switch. If this is activated, the symbol turns red. In this example, every combiner box has 8 strings. Everything is fine here, as production is roughly the same for each. Here you can also see the total current, DC voltage, total power, and the temperature of the combiner boxes. Each element is interactive. You can click on the current, or on this diagram here, and you will see all currents only for this combiner box. This view is particularly useful for control room monitoring. By simply scrolling, you can instantly see and compare all string currents. An alarm such as this one here, or any deviations, can be spotted quickly. This sensor view gives you a summary of all Skycony field sensors installed in a given plant. In this case, 2 radiation sensors and a pyranometer on the module plane, as well as a further horizontally aligned pyranometer. There are also 3 ambient temperature sensors and 1 module temperature sensor, in addition to 5 Skycony sensors for room temperature. Below that, you can access the current values of a weather station. All parameters, such as radiation yield and radiation power, are part of an interactive display. That means with one click, you can access the latest data charts. With the plant map view, you once more have a bird's eye view of the most important components of your plant. You can zoom in and out as necessary, and navigate around the plant using the smaller scale map in the top left corner. You can now see every combiner box and inverter located in your facility, clearly laid out in a plant outline. Move the mouse over the icons to view detailed information. This combiner box is orange, which signals an alarm. With a simple click, you can open a diagram or the alarm management window. In every view, all elements are interactive. If a value is not at the expected level and you want to know more, simply move the mouse over it and click. A chart opens immediately, showing the data from that channel. An important aspect of this view is that you can now add every relevant data source to the chart. Either from the same plant, for example radiation power, or from other plants on the same account. This allows individual values to be compared. This chart will show you how things were going in your plant last Monday or last year. PVGuard gives you full access to historical data via the timeline on the upper toolbar. Using the slider or the calendar view, you can select and display the desired time period. The data is accurate down to the last minute. PVGuard provides a number of useful charts and tables for each plant, making your analysis easier. Here, for example, you can assess yield data at the inverter level. You are provided with a chart with organized daily values, and you can move between weekly, monthly or annual data with the timeline function, and adjust intervals accordingly. You can also access prepared performance ratio data at the inverter level. Up here you see the individual inverters, and in the bar diagram the performance ratio of the entire plant. If you want to create a custom analysis, this can be saved to the PVGuard program. First, open a new chart and choose the values you want in the bottom left corner. For this plant, we will compare several values. Ambient temperatures, just drag and drop. And then module temperature. This can also be added with a right click. And you can display all data in high resolution with minute-to-minute accuracy, or over a longer period, here the current month. Now we'll add performance ratio, and we want to view these as a bar chart. This chart can be either exported or saved as a custom file. In the left-hand column in the View list, you always have access to your personalized charts. To enable the worldwide comparison of plant data on a specific day, PVGuard offers a time zone correction display. If, for example, you want to compare radiation yield in a Canadian plant with that of a German facility, the information will be shown according to local time. The curves are noticeably offset. By clicking on the time zone correction, you can change to time zone adjustment mode so that the curves are shown in the correct plant time zone. This acts as a good visual comparison for daily plant activity. PVGuard has a comprehensive alarm management system. Here in the View list, you can access all plant alarms. With a right click, you have the option of displaying alarms for individual devices using the Values menu. There are 3 alarm notifications here. The colors show the severity of the alarm. Take a look here. On the right side, you can see the problem is an inverter status and a drop in AC power. The cause is GP2 in Grunau. The comment states, power dropout, current power 0.3 kilowatts. Now click here to display a chart for this alarm. and you receive the relevant values for the inverter. Down here you can see the AC power as a blue line. This fell at around 11 AM. Now you want to deal with the alarm, and you know that you will send a service team. You enter this repair job in a commentary. Provide a user code, then set the error status to being repaired. You can now see the status has been changed to being repaired. When repairs have been carried out, you adjust the status again. Change it here to dismissed. The alarm is moved to the lower menu. Here on the right you can access the complete history of your alarm management.